Hola, ¿cómo está? Okay, so I've had some inside thinking in my mind. Um, I just wanted to state the obvious of what most people are scared to say. uh, the conflict of Texas or a border wall is kind of obvious. I think in some ways it's kind of backwards. I think we're trying to help Mexico by keeping Guatemala or El Salvador or whoever keep entering Mexico because people in Tijuana said it was an act of invasion. And I think Mexico did build a wall with Guatemala. So if we build if we build a wall with Mexico, that keeps any prior presidents to Trump uh, from invading Mexico or keeping Mexico or whoever from invading Texas if Texas ever succeeds. So I know there's a lot of Anglophiles and Scotophiles in Texas, and if you don't know what those words mean, use your common sense. Most people are confused by this figure named Sam Houston. I read the book, I did the research. He was of Irish Scot descent. He was kind of best friends with Andrew Jackson, but uh, he was a Tennessee man, but he was raised by the Cherokees. He was an excellent tracksman, and that's why you could track down Santa Anna and hold him at gunpoint, because if you knew about Indian history, they have the whole tiptoe, move at a silence, pace, barefooted type style uh, tactics. I learned some of that when I was a child because I have like 1% native in me, but it's not U.S. native. It's actually Canadian native. It's not Aztec or Mayan. I don't know about Canada native except like Eskimo and stuff like that, but I know the natives in Canada actually have a lot of trouble because socialism is a piece of shit. Uh, so Texas succeeding isn't the best idea. I think that's why Obama ran Jade Helm. Because, can we state the obvious? There for a couple of years, the police and sheriffs in Texas were out of control. I was joining the Navy, and they showed up at my house. And not the Navy, but the Navy was telling me they want to help me. They want me to get out of Katy, Texas, because a lot of the people out there are the scum of America, and that does go for the boys in blue. Uh, the I think it was Richmond or Fort Bend police department or sheriffs, whoever. Sheriffs are basically gangsters because if you did the history, they're branched from the cartels of Mexico. That's who set them up in Texas because Texas was part of Mexico, and the cartels or the sheriffs just kind of make up their own rules as they go along. But the Navy showed up at my house and told me, we're trying to help you. We want to get you away from the law enforcement. We want you to serve this country and be a part of the effort of America. But the cops kept showing up at my house saying, oh, you're going to the hospital, you're going to jail. And I was like, no, the Navy's going to the Navy. So like the old Clash song says, I fought the law and the law won. So I was doing some research, and it says in the Texas Constitution, the military is actually under the police and sheriff department, which is a bunch of bullshit. So next time you want to fight a war, or you want to fight for oil, or anything like that, call the cops and the sheriffs. Stop sending Marines, Corpsmen, and Air Force, Gulf Coast, or Coast Guard, or Army, or Navy. Just send the police and sheriff. Let them fight on the front line. And I well understand that there are people who serve in the police department and sheriffs that are of good intentions, want to stop rape, incest, prostitution, murder, drug trafficking. I understand that, but some people live for the drama and want to get involved in people's lives for no apparent reason because sometimes that's how they get paid. And a lot of jails are privatized, which is obvious. I know most people know that. So the sheriffs make their living off of privatized jails, and the prisons are federal penitentiaries, obviously. Uh, uh, I wouldn't say that all cops are crooked, but there's good and bad people all throughout the world. There's good and bad people in the military. I'm kind of glad that I didn't join the military. I did join, I swore in, but let me correct my statement. But the graduating class I was going to be a part of was the one that Obama called the corpsmen. So I kind of could see how that was heading for the Navy. I don't know what happened to that graduating class, but it was kind of bad that you would call a corpsman a corpsman. So some people beat around the bush. I don't have a problem with Obama. I'm glad he served as the first Oreo president or whatever, first Hawaiian American. There's a lot of classifications you can go under, but just state the obvious. And when the cops kept me from joining the military and made me go AWOL, that is act of treason, and I really think it's kind of obvious that the cops and the police, or the cops and the sheriffs, or whoever, are out of control. They really are. If you keep someone from serving the military, or keep people in chains or shackles, or treat people unfairly, you are a criminal. So that means the cops have the right to remain silent. Anything that they can and say will be used against them in a court of law, whether heaven, hell, or on the planet Earth. So I know it's crazy of me to say, but state the obvious. Texas is an Anglo state. It's not a Scot state. It's not an Ireland state. Ma, it's not for me. It's a mixed cultural, ethical place. There's a lot of Spanish countries, or Spanish counties. There's a lot of Irish counties. There's German towns, Czechoslovakian towns. There's Bernie or Borneo. There's all sorts of places. There's Ira or Iran. But they just make up names to anglophile everything. Not everyone came from England. Not everyone came from Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. All sorts of people came up here. And if you put it to any German, the Germans have their own culture. The Mennonites have their own culture. And they kind of have their own ways of doing things. But yeah, people who want to... This Anglo secession party is just out of control. Like, Texas would not make it. Mexico would invade, and we'd become a part of Mexico again, because there's too much chaos out here. We're not united in Texas. It's obvious we're a majority state. The majority is Hispanic, and the Hispanics would win the war if Mexico and Texas went back to war with each other after a secessionist. It's common sense. It's like, it's actually not, it's checkers or go fish. It's not chess or dominoes. It's common fucking sense, but people can't use their brain to think about things. And I am a Seguin descent, but I don't want to choose between Texas and Mexico. If I had my way and Texas secede, I would not live here, because it would be a war zone. Obviously, it's already a war zone between all sorts of people. I don't know. It's not like Hatfield and McCoy like Tennessee. It's a completely different atmosphere. I don't take sides on Ireland or Anglos or Germans or Czechs or Mexicans. I just live here. I'm just trying my best to be my own creative soul, my own creative being. And the self has no identity, so I just live in Christ or God or the divine universe or whatever. I'm floating on the rock like everyone else, and I don't blow things out of proportion. I use my brain, and we all should be of a sound mind, so I don't know. I really don't know anything. I hope you enjoy my posts, and I made it for 9 minutes, and we're going on 30. Later.